filthy swines! Get in here, sit down, and behave yourselves. We're going to read some news. What is the scale of the population here? How many people are there? Is it 9 billion? How many people could fit on this planet? Probably a lot more. We're commonly led to believe that we are overpopulated, and I'm not sure that's exactly true. I think there is a lot of room for people here, but that's not to say that we should be reckless in breeding lots and lots and lots, but I think perhaps given how fertility rates have dropped, maybe we need to consider encouraging an increase in the birth rate. Predictions of a population crash are not new. They are interesting and something I want to get into understanding more about. So this article on the Daily Mail, written by Xantha Leatham, scientists predict a global population crash by 2064 with humanity potentially harmed. Now, this population currently sits at 8.3 billion people, but it could crash within the next 40 years. Experts have warned. Scientists say that in a worst-case scenario, humanity could potentially be halved by the year 2064. This could be the result of climate collapse, a pandemic, global conflict, or resource shortages, they've warned. Well, I'm sure there'll be another pandemic coming in the next decade, that would be my guess. Conflicts, well, there are always conflicts going on. Resource shortages, I'm not sure I believe in scarcity. I think that's an artificial construct. The most provocative part of our paper explores a hypothetical future scenario the researchers from the University of Milan said. We've modelled what could happen if major environmental crises abruptly impose severe carrying capacity limits on Earth. Under a deliberately conservative worst-case assumption that Earth's sustainable carrying capacity suddenly dropped to around 2 billion people, our model predicts a rapid global population decline, with humanity potentially halving by around the year 2064. Okay, so you're introducing a black swan event, I guess. The researchers maintain that this is not a forecast, but an illustrative mathematical scenario which shows how sensitive population dynamics may be to abrupt changes. But with researchers sounding alarm bells about global warming, recent pandemics such as COVID, and falling birth rates, the scenario is not completely unrealistic. And some, I imagine, would probably welcome this. For the study, published in the journal Chaos Solutions and Fractals, the researchers analysed 12,000 years of human population growth. From this, they were able to devise a mathematical equation that accurately reproduced the major population growth patterns from the Neolithic era to the modern age. The model takes into account that in some periods, human population expanded slowly and steadily, while in others, growth accelerated explosively. Overall, they found the current trajectory remains relatively stable and does not imply imminent collapse. But in a worst-case illustration, Earth's carrying capacity could plummet to just 2 billion, they warned. What? Why? How would that happen? This would mean that the maximum number of people our planet could sustain indefinitely would be around a quarter of its current population, and in turn it would trigger a crash which could see the number of people on Earth halved. You'd have to achieve something like that, interrupt our food supply. So if you look at a movie like Interstellar, there are viruses that have been unleashed that are damaging crops. So if that were to happen, then yes. And that's very possible, unfortunately. So yes, maybe. In a scenario where carrying capacity constraints suddenly become abruptly active, our equation predicts a rapid population decline, they wrote. Global fertility rates, they're all bonking in Africa. The model also revisits one of the most famous predictions in population science, the doomsday scenario proposed in 1960. This predicted that the global human population would approach mathematical infinity, resulting in mass extinction on Friday, November the 13th, 2026. Mathematical infinity? Are you crazy? What are you talking about? Humanity avoided that trajectory as fertility rates declined globally, but our new study argues that the underlying mathematics of runaway growth can still reappear under certain conditions, the researchers of the new study said. In our baseline analysis, the current global trend does not produce a catastrophic singularity like the one predicted. Last year, a study found that populations may need a fertility rate of around 2.7 children per woman to avoid long-term extinction. This is higher than previous estimates of 2.1 children per woman for population replacement. In the UK, the average number of children per woman stands at 1.41, while in the US it is slightly higher at 1.62. There are concerns that if fertility rates continue to plunge across the world, it may leave countries with too few younger people to work, pay tax, and look after the elderly. Musk banging his baby drum. England and Wales baby desert. Oh no, there's a whole desert of babies. Tap or search local authority for historic fertility rates and total births to native and foreign mothers. What's going on in these areas? These highly populated areas, these cities have probably a lot of non-native British people having babies and such. What's this? Norfolk? What's up here? What could you be? Where is this? These are all cities, I suppose. There's London down there. For years, tech billionaire Elon Musk has warned about population collapse caused by a baby bust in America and the West. Musk, who has 14 children with 4 different women, boasts of always banging the baby drum. He previously said that low birth rates result in fewer workers, increased debt, strained healthcare and pension systems, and total social unrest. And he's gone so far as to call it the greatest risk to future civilization. He's right. There's no people being born. There's no people. You should watch that movie, Children of Men. Should we see what Elon says here? Brace yourselves, we're going to watch Elon Musk saying stuff about babies and things.
Like, I mean, man, so many of friends I know have like 0 or 1 kid.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always banging the baby drum. Because I'm like, man, civilization's gonna, collapse. And
no big deal.
Yeah. I'm like, where do you think people come from? Like, some magical people factory?
The stork. The stork.
The stork, the baby store. I mean, like, they gotta come from somewhere, and they take ages to grow. So unless like the thing that tends to happen is like once the birth rate starts going down, it seems to accelerate in a downward trajectory. Like Japan is a leading indicator here.
Yeah.
Same.
They're about to collapse.
No, it's
Population
like
collapse.
nutty. They lost 600,000 people last year. That negative 600,000 last year.
Wow.
And Japan is like pretty close to being their life expectancy is like 85. So, like that's the only thing. That was what was keeping the population plummeting before. But now, despite having like the world's longest lifespan, they're still losing population.
Oh, wow.
Well, he's not wrong. I agree with the chap. And joking about baby factories, I know that sounds funny, but being able to create artificial wombs, I don't know, maybe that is actually the way that it will go. I don't know. But if the population is crashing so much and it's an existential risk and women don't want to have babies, it's up to you. What are we going to do? Automate everything? We can't automate everything. We need people. We need some people too. Are they going to just create baby factories? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. But the solutions to this are loopy. And I suppose what they've been doing is letting in so many migrants so that it pushes up the local population in Western countries. That's one of the rational reasons for so much immigration into Western countries. But in my opinion, that doesn't really hold that much weight because of automation. Automation is going to take so many jobs. So you're flooding our countries with non-nationals who eventually will become unemployed because of automation. It's a very strange situation. So I'm not sure that the mass migration is all about bolstering our populations to maintain a healthy economy. Maybe it is in the short term, but it's, in my opinion, not a long-term strategy, particularly with automation. So we'll see if we end up having freakish baby factories, or if you manage to convince men and women to actually have families and babies and such. Maybe encourage families to have more children. But nobody that's establishment-based seems to be interested in those ideas. So I'm not sure what the plan is there. I'm concerned there is no plan. That's my concern. That's why I keep banging on about all sorts of things, because I'm not convinced there's a plan. I'm worried that we're perhaps heading towards a cliff edge, a magnificent Thelma and Louise moment, where civilization just goes off the edge because we're all too busy pleasing ourselves and not actually thinking about the future. But that is it for now. Make sure you hit that like button if you indeed like me. Follow me wherever you find me. And the only thing I have left to say is Pigwig out.
Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oink, oink, wee, squeal, snort, snort, oink, kitty, squee. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Snort, snuffle, oink, squee, squeal, wee, snort, oinky, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, wee, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, wee, squee, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Squeal, squeal. Snort, shuffle, oink, re-squeal, re-snort, oinky, oinkity, oink, 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 snuffle, re-squeeze, snort, oink, squeal, oink, oink, oinkity, squeeze, squee, re-re-re, snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, oink, oink.